Hey y'all, welcome back. I hope everybody has been having a great weekend so far, or at least a great week headed into a great weekend. You feel what I'm saying? I am here to talk about politics with you guys, just a piece from Jamie's perspective. Okay, we are going to be getting into some things, so please make sure you're coming to the video, you're liking, you're subscribing to the channel, you're sharing the videos, and listen. This is from my perspective, and I am so open to learning more. So make sure that you guys leave your thoughts down in the comments. And I want us to interact, have conversation, but also be mindful about how we have this conversation. Okay. Now, listen, I'm sure everybody would love to be educated, but make sure that there's a healthy education that's going on down below in the comments. All right. First things first. The thing that I want to talk about is Georgia. I want to get into Georgia first because they're considering eliminating state income tax. Now, this is a conversation that has been on the table before, from my understanding, and it didn't go anywhere, right? So now I don't even know. At first, when I heard about it, I was like, eliminate state income tax? Like, let's do it. And I sat with the thought a little bit more and I said, well, wait a minute. If they eliminate income tax, then they're going to have to get the money from somewhere. So all of the other taxes that are out there, are you guys going to increase those taxes, like on groceries, pretty much sales tax? Some people are having issues with the property tax, which I think after a while with property taxes, because I'm about to go on a little tangent, right? So I hate to see older people being taken advantage of and the system not try to do anything to help them out. I've been seeing these people get their homes swiped from up under them by merely just some paperwork. Right. I saw a story the other day and I saved it for me to go back to. I haven't gone back to it yet, but it was this woman talking about a home that she purchased that went into HOA foreclosure, I believe, with the previous individuals. And somebody else tried to claim that property, but it was pushed back due to, I guess, the paperwork or something being invalid. And so this woman had to go to court with this guy. And this guy has done this numerous of times where he has tried to take, or not tried, and maybe that's part of it, but has successfully taken people's properties, right? But I've seen this so many times throughout social media where people have dealt with this, but this woman was able to win her case because the documents that he was trying to use to take control of her home was invalid. So he was filing under something that was invalid, and she had all her proof and stuff like that. So anyway, and this is a younger woman that went the extra mile to do the research, whatever the case is. But the elders, I feel like, it's easy to take advantage of them as one would little babies, right? So I just think at a certain age, likely a retirement age, right? I know retirement at once upon a time was like 65. I'm not sure if it went up, but if it did, I just feel like at that point, I just don't think they should have to kind of pay that. Now, unfortunately, it may still raise taxes for others in an effort to compensate for those people not having to pay taxes at a certain age, right? But it's like, who wants to be ousted? You worked all your life to make all of this money, to make a living for yourself, to pay off your home and likely leave something for your children, your family, whatever. And somebody's coming in and just being able to swipe your property from up under you. And granted, it's not everyone's situation, but for me, I just feel like it's enough. It's enough. Okay, it's happening to enough people that it shouldn't happen to them after they pour so much money into their mortgage and just the house in general, and somebody else who didn't put in on this. You weren't here with us shooting in the gym, and you get the opportunity to just come and swipe our homes from under us. It's crazy. I saw another situation where this older black woman ended up having her stuff literally taken out her house and thrown onto her lawn, right? So I think an organization reached out to her to assist her, help her gain access to her property again, and everybody moved everything back into her home and reorganized it and everything. And shout out to all the black people that came together for that older woman. But it's crazy out here, right? And I know we're talking about state income tax, and I kind of went into the tangent of taxes and how I just feel like with property taxes, like once you reach a certain age, like they shouldn't have to pay, because it's like, who's gonna hire them anyway to continue to work? And everybody did not make smart choices when it came to their money as far as investments and retirements or whatever the case is, but they still used the money that they were able to gain over the years to take care of that home and keep things up to date. So once they reach a certain age, and also depending upon maybe when they purchase that home, they shouldn't have to pay property taxes. But leave your thoughts on that below. When it comes to income tax, again, I was sold on eliminated, please. But if it's going to raise taxes in other places, I don't know if I want that, y'all. That sounds crazy. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, if I didn't pay income tax, at least with the income tax money, it'll free me up money to be able to afford some of those other like items that may have higher sales taxes or whatever the case is. And first of all, it shouldn't be no tax on cars. Honestly, it should already be built into the price the way y'all out here overcharging for these cars. It's crazy because they're charging 2 to 3 times more nowadays for one vehicle than what it used to be years ago. And now all because they're electric, and then a lot of these electric cars are malfunctioning. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, is y'all cool? Because I can't take it. I can't take it. And one thing I hate about the increase in prices is once they see that Americans as a whole or majority are sold on doing things that way, it's very not likely that they're going to revert back to something that's more feasible for everybody, because you guys have become accustomed to the way that they've set it up for y'all or for us, right? So it's crazy. But for the people that live here in Georgia, let me know your thoughts about state income tax and whether you feel like, hey, I can rock with it. I'm cool with it. Okay, I am totally okay with them eliminating income tax, and they could raise the taxes, to like 12% on sales tax. Let me know your thoughts on that. I feel like I want to dig more into that situation and just find out more about it. Like, okay, now how is this supposed to work? Okay, how is this exactly supposed to work? Actually, right? So that's one thing I wanted to get into. So you all let me know your thoughts on that. The next thing that I want us to talk about is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Someone asked me in my previous video from Jamie's perspective, where I talked about a lot of politics, right? They said, hey, can you talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene? I sure can. I sure can. I can. Well, we don't have to go there. We can. We can. And matter of fact, I want to go ahead and play something because Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is a representative here in Georgia. She is Republican. She's a representative. At once upon a time, I thought that she represented my area, and I had to do some research, right? Because in my county, she does represent a few areas that are a part of my county, but not my county as a whole. Praise him. However, the other person that is a part of that pretty much represents my county, I'm going to look more into him. He is a Republican, and I just want to look more into his ideals and what he has to say and things. But I'm glad Marjorie does not represent me. Hello. However, okay, she does represent a few others. She's been very problematic over the years based on how she's handled some of her colleagues. Okay. Um, in Congress, she has been very disrespectful, in my personal, to Jasmine Crockett, and Jasmine Crockett had to chew on her neck bone, okay, quite a few times. But now she's on this whole tour where she's pretty much calling out the Trump administration. And I watched that interview she did with The View, and we're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, I do want us to tap into just a little bit of what she had to say when it comes to to Congress and the leadership and things. So let us go ahead and actually, I want to move some things over here, and we're gonna get into that in just a second here. All right. All right, guys. So let us go ahead and switch gears and get into what Miss Marjorie Taylor had to say. Let's check this out.
Worst thing that I just can't get over is we're not working right now. And I put that criticism directly on the Speaker of the House. And healthcare costs have risen and risen and risen and risen. But I'm going to pick on Republicans. Republicans never fixed it. I yelled at Mike Johnson last week on our GOP conference call. By the way, I'm missing the call today. It's going on right now. And I hope that Mike Johnson is finally giving a single health care policy because the country deserves it. I think that all of us right here are doing a great job of exchanging our ideas and things that we believe in, and we're doing it in a very professional and kind way. And in my opinion, I think we need more of that in America. I really do. And a lot of people wanted me to come on the show and say nasty things and all of us to fight. They wanted all of us to fight.
Thank you for not doing that.
Oh, my goodness, no. The worst thing.
All right. So that's part of what she had to say, pretty much kind of like calling out leadership a little bit as far as her yelling at, Mike Johnson over this whole shutdown and things, right? So she did have some things to say at the top of that interview where she said that, she has called out both parties from the very beginning. Whenever she felt like, they weren't operating in the proper order, she's called both sides out. And she says that she feels like both parties have failed. And maybe she's right in some type of capacity. All right. I mean, I definitely feel like the Democratic Party likely failed by not getting in there and actually voting. And, well, I'll say this. I won't say not voting, but I'm thinking more so about America failing, girl, based on the decision they chose when it came down to voting. And I also fault some of you guys that didn't even go out to vote. So I really, some part of me don't even want to hear nothing that you got to say, okay? Because the fact that you did not get out there and vote, this is what you also wanted, just a little piece in my personal. Now, she said that she is for the people of her district. This is what she says, and how she too agrees with not sending over money to foreign countries, i.e., we sent, or more so, Trump sent $40 billion over to Argentina. And I'm wondering about that. Like, what was the real reason? Because I believe once he started putting those tariffs and things in place, I think that China kind of stopped doing some business with us and started going over to Argentina for some things. And I think that he put so much money over there into Argentina to likely sway them away from China in some capacity. But again, this is my perspective. Okay. I have to do additional research on that and leave your thoughts on that down below. Okay. Now, she also goes on to say that when it comes to Affordable Care Act, the ACA insurance, she felt like it was problematic from the beginning because she said at the time her insurance was just a few $100s. And once, it got passed back during that time, she said it went up to like $2,000, right? And although it was an increase, how she's looking at it now, she just kind of feels like, listen, but we all can't afford to really be without this now. Okay, so she thinks that, although it went up and it was high and stuff like that, now it's about to be even higher for individuals. But when Marjorie talks about this in my personal, she more so talks about it from a standpoint of the people that she knows that it directly affects. And I'm more so talking about like her family. She says she's for the people of her district. But, Marjorie, I won't let you forget, baby. When it came down to the people of your district, when they came down there to do a city hall or town hall meeting with you, and they start asking certain questions, whether they were yelling them out or whatever, you had those people escorted out of the building. So don't sit up here on these people's platform and try to act like, oh, well, I'm here for the people of my district, when you technically in my personal try to silence the people of your district. And she didn't just lead black people out, white people had to, she forced them out too. Anybody that had a question, and she tried to make it seem like, oh, I'm so for the people, let's come and have a talk about it, trying to do something different than what her other counterparts were really doing, because they weren't really doing these meetings. But when you have these meetings, what kind of benefit does it serve if the people that ask you the hard questions, you pushing them out the door? Like, make it make sense. So for me, there is nothing Marjorie Taylor can do to change my thoughts or perspective about her. This is merely a woman, in my opinion, that is not getting her way. And because she's not getting her way, this is her way of throwing a professional temper tantrum. Okay. She is going out here on these different platforms speaking out against this administration. But here's another thing as to why I can't get with it. Because, love, this is what you voted for. This is what you voted for, right? She also does want the Epstein files to be released. That's something she said. And let me tell you what really stuck out to me. Also, so she mentioned that when it came down to the New York election between Andrew Cuomo and Zoran Mamdani, she said if it was her, she didn't really endorse, and I can't remember if this was recorded before or after the election. I believe it aired after the election, but I don't know if it was recorded before the election. But what she did say was, oh, I wouldn't vote for Andrew Cuomo. You know why? Well, I just feel like it's a lot of allegations out there against him. I said BITCH. This is where you always show your hand for me. Honestly, because if you've been keeping up with her, you already know her antics. Right now, again, is giving a professional temper tantrum in my personal, right? So you say that you would not have voted for Andrew based on the things that have been said about him, but you went on to vote for Trump based on the things that were said about him, the things he was convicted of, and all of that. But you were totally okay with it. You stood in it, you supported it, you attacked other colleagues on behalf of it, ma'am. And then now again, that you are not getting your way, my beloved, you want to sit up here and now go against them? Girl, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. Now, I might give you this right here when you're making sense. Okay, but the sin's been there the whole time. You just refuse to see it. So you get two finger clap from me, not really a full clap. I'm so sorry. Cannot give that to her. And honestly, when Trump is out of office and should her district continue to vote her in and hire her and continue to give her a job and a seat at the damn table, she's gonna be back to her Marjorie Taylor Greene antics. And that's just how I feel about that. For me, it's not necessarily changing, not rocking with her. And that was something that really stuck out because she also said during the same sit down, I voted for Trump. I love Trump. It was either I love Trump or I really like Trump. One or the damn other is what it was. That, like, you're so confusing. And you think, and I hate when people do this where they talk in a calm tone and think that because you're talking in a calm tone, we're supposed to think that you're a changed person or something like that. No, you still in there. You haven't changed much for me. Okay. You better be glad you're not in my district because you definitely wouldn't get my vote. Right. She talks about how there are paid social media pages out there to push certain narratives. Duh. Okay. But then also she does, when she talks about, she pretty much called like the leadership weak men and they wanted her to air it out and say who you talking about. And she pretty much said it without saying it. She was pretty much talking about Trump and Mike. All right. Trump, Mike, and all of the leaders that Trump has around him. She feels like these are weak men. And I do think, and one thing I do believe about Marjorie at this time, in my personal, I think that she may be tired of being under the leadership of men. And I think that she sees exactly what they're doing, where I personally believe that they are pushing their white men propaganda, right, as being superior. That's what they mean, is in my personal, of Make America Great Again, where the white men are in charge, they're looked up to. They're the ones that are at the highest level of the social status and things because they have the jobs. And it's so crazy because now you see why this man was so focused on eliminating DEI. Although Black people aren't the ones that always benefit from it, okay? And haven't really been even before DEI. Be very clear, the discrimination has always been there, right? But to see them eliminate that and then later on, months down the line, they're firing all these Black people, thinking that eliminating DEI will potentially excuse them from some sort of discrimination, some lawsuit, some whatever the case, right? And it's likely not. There's always going to be a clause somewhere or a law or something that is going to support these people that you sat up here and laid off without a real merit as to why you did it. Be very clear. So when these people come back at these companies in a few years and fire y'all up with some class action lawsuits or whatever the case is, I will be having my feet propped up, okay, chewing on a Twizzler or something like it, something more healthier. Hello? Understand. But as far as Marjorie Taylor, not really feeling her, but I will say that Jasmine Crockett has been on her neck, as well as AOC Alexandria Cortez has been on her neck. And I want y'all to hear what she had to say in response, because AOC came out and just pretty much said she the same person. Okay, she just mad that she didn't get a position in this man's cabinet, likely, and now she out here trying to turn against them. But make no mistake, she the same person, and I'm with her. I'm like, girl, I already saw it before you even said it. But of course, it needs to be said for the people that are believing that she is changing right before our eyes, when really she's not necessarily. I just don't think that she likes this male leadership and what's going on. She thought that she was a part of the clique and realized not even you are a part of the clique. As a woman, we about see you on the same level as we see some of these other Black successful women. Okay? This, your place isn't up here, love. Get back down there to where you belong. And now she having a fit about it. But go ahead, girl. It's time for you to rise up and go ahead and do what you're gonna do. Okay? And I know Trump is pissed. I know a lot of the Republican Party is pissed with Marjorie at this time, because it's like, dang, you making us look bad, as if the man in office and others aren't making y'all look bad already. So I'm sure they've been on her head top. I mean, she said some of these social media pages out here have been harassing her the moment they found out she was going to go over to The View. So it's a mess. It's a mess. And I've definitely been following it. I feel like I've been following these politics and things a bit more than what I ever have before. And I just want to know more. Now, when I hear things, I also want to fact check some of the things that's also being said. So when you guys are hearing me talk about certain things on this platform and I may play a video or a clip, Go and do your own further research to make sure that you're fully aware of what is going on and what is happening. Okay. So that's all that I have on Marjorie Taylor Greene. You guys can leave your thoughts and comments on that down below. There's something else I want us to get into, and let me get all of that up, because the next thing I want us to talk about is Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, for those of you guys that really nobody should be under a rock, for real, for real. But and if you are under a rock, chances are you not watching this video no way, okay? But so there's an issue with SNAP, right? So with this government shutdown that's taking place, SNAP benefits have been halted, right? And I feel like they never had to be halted, but this administration wanted it to be halted in an effort to twist the Democrats' arm to sign or approve this big, beautiful bill that was approved through the House, right? So they're like, I mean, I may agree with most of what's in this big, beautiful bill, but what you're not going to do is put a lot of these Americans that's in need of this ACA in jeopardy and skyrocket. Like everything else is skyrocketed. You guys have been saying that, oh, this is down and that's down, but nothing's down. And I hate when, a lot of media outlets report that, oh, such and such is reporting that housing is down, like they did that here in Georgia. I think they said this is the lowest it's ever been, type of thing. And it's like, first of all, it should have never got that high. And second, just because they decide to keep the rent where it's at, or not increase your rent by $300 and just $150, doesn't mean anything when other resources are still high as hell for people just going to the grocery store, my loves. Okay. It's a lot of other things that's high as hell, and nobody is paying anything. Some of these companies still out here paying $7 and something for minimum wage. Like, do y'all hear yourself? Like, it's ridiculous, right? So getting back to the SNAP benefits, the shutdown has happened. It is causing a lot when it comes to flights. Like, flight delays have been crazy. Like, the line to just go through TSA has been out the door from what I've seen. So much so that the federal government is having to cut back like on 10%, I believe, of the staff or something like that, or at least they're going to have to like cancel flights and things. So you have that issue that's going on, and it's so sad that all of this is happening around the holidays. Then come to find out, you have the SNAP benefits that were not going to go out. USDA sent out a message to everybody saying, hey, y'all not getting these benefits, and we request that, anybody just stop. All the states just stop. Don't send out nothing, right? Well, a federal judge, I believe, out of Rhode Island ended up, pretty much sending in, I guess, like a lawsuit or something, saying, hey, y'all need to send these benefits out by any means, like send them out. Now, Trump was like, he ain't doing nothing. Then Caroline Levitt goes on, to do her press conference and say that, oh, no, we're going to abide by it. Although Trump said he wasn't, we're going to abide by it, right? So then she says, but the people have to understand it takes time. This is coming from a contingency fund, and the contingency fund is for emergencies only. So it went from being emergencies only, then it went to being about war, right? Oh, this is for the war fund or whatever the case is. And I'm like, girl, those are two different funds. Like, why are you lying? Okay. So then there was additional pushback, I believe, from this judge, pretty much saying like, no, like y'all are trying to sit up here and say that there's not enough money when there is enough money, and it has nothing to do with war. Stop lying. And I'm like, I'm so glad somebody's saying it. Okay. This is why a lot of times even I'm learning this. Like, don't just take the headline for face value. Like, get into the article if you can. And then if there's anything that sticks out to you, just do further research on it. And although I'm talking about politics, I don't think that I'm perfect in this arena, but whatever's on my mind, I want us to discuss it. And then I want to go back and do like some more research and just get an understanding of the processes and how things work. Right. But all in all, full of it. So when the federal court sent this out, for the SNAP benefits to be sent, Trump's administration came back and, they filed an appeal. And then they asked the Supreme Court, which was the First Circuit Court, if they could get like a stay, pretty much get a pause on this situation. Right? Because they said, according to them, in order for them to send out these SNAP payments, it's going to have to come from somewhere else, another program, and Trump doesn't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. And I'm confused, and this is where I have to do my due diligence and my research, because I'm like, well, if the funds were already there, why would you need to go to another program to pull money from there? And when you say another program, are you referring to the contingency funds that are already there that has over $5 billion over there to send out to these people? So I'm confused. Or are you talking about a completely separate program to where you're having to pull from? But then again, this is where I'm confused, because I'm like, the money would have already been there, though. There shouldn't be a need to pull from a separate program if the benefits were already there. Just send them out. If they're being withheld due to the government shutdown, then why not just send it out? We was able to send 40 billion over to Argentina, so why could we not send this money out over here? I am confusion, and I have questions that need answers. Now, I want to hop over here to get into this article. And I have to say, shout out to the Hill. One thing I like about the Hill that I'm learning is this is a company, a media company that I feel gives like both sides. I don't feel like they lean more towards the right or they lean more towards the left. So they may be a company that I go to, a media outlet that I go to reference a lot of things, to just get like a center, like just to get the overall picture of things. Another thing that I like about their articles is that you can play the audio version. If you don't want to read the whole thing, or you don't have time, you driving, but you want to know what's going on, they have the audio version for you to listen to. I'm going to get into the headlines, but I'm also going to play the audio of this article. All right. So they're saying Ketanji Brown Jackson halts order requiring full SNAP payments for now. Can I also say this too? I feel like how some of the media outlets, specifically a black one, how they labeled it. I felt like they put it up in an effort to make Ketanji Brown Jackson the op. And also, they made that post in an effort to cause discourse in the comments in an effort to up their analytics and their numbers. It was giving a little bit of rage bait to me. And you guys are making Ketanji Brown Jackson the problem when the problem is not fucking Ketanji Brown Jackson, and she's doing her fucking job, because all of the Supreme Court justices are given a particular circuit that they have to work on. And this first circuit is her circuit. Okay? This is her circuit. And now, based on how she did it, from my understanding, although she halted and it appears as though she gave Trump what what they wanted, it seems like she's forcing the appeals court to give a decision. Because if she gives a decision, then it's going to go straight over to the Supreme Court. Now, granted, once she hears from them, and she grants whatever it is the appeals court says, then I believe that Trump and his people can come back, because I think they only can appeal twice. They'll come back, appeal it, and try to get it sent to the full Supreme Court, which sucks because this also could take months. Hello? This also could take months, right? So because it seems like even if she would have made a decision right then and said, okay, no, I'm going to go with the lower courts, the federal courts, what they said, and I am just going to grant it anyway, Trump team still could appeal, right? So it's really like she's in a position of damned if you do, damned if you don't, especially if the government's goal is to not fund this money because they're going to have to pull from somewhere else, and they don't want to pull from somewhere else. Then it's likely going to end up eventually going to the full Supreme Court, and they're all going to make the decision, as they're also making decisions on these tariffs and things right now. But one, like I said, it could take months. And then two, they could still rule in Trump's favor, and therefore y'all still ain't getting nothing for months. And then they probably won't even get y'all back pay. But again, I don't know if all of that will fall by the wayside should the government open back up, right? Once the government opens back up, I feel like this case is still going to be going on. And I don't feel like once it opens, you guys are still going to receive your money. I would hope that, but I don't know. But let's get into this article really quick. I want us to listen to what's being said here.
Brown Jackson halts order requiring full SNAP payments for now, by Zach Skonfeld. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson temporarily halted an order requiring the Trump administration make full Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program SNAP November payments by Friday. Jackson's ruling pauses some of the payments until the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit can decide the administration's motion to block the order pending its appeal. It does not reflect a ruling on the underlying legal merits of the case, but it provides a temporary reprieve to the Trump administration, which went to the Supreme Court earlier Friday evening. Given the First Circuit's representations, an administrative stay is required to facilitate the First Circuit's expeditious resolution of the pending stay motion, Jackson wrote. Jackson ruled on the immediate request because she handles emergency appeals arising from the First Circuit by default. Our attorneys will not stop fighting day and night to defend and advance President Trump's agenda, Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote on the social platform X. SNAP provides roughly 42 million people with grocery assistance, and the program's funding lapse has become one of the most visible signs of the government shutdown as it stretches into a sixth week. Cities and private groups sued the administration as the U.S. Department of Agriculture (USDA) announced the benefit would be cut off starting in November, the first time the program has dried up completely. U.S. District Judge John McConnell initially ruled the administration needed to, at minimum, deplete a $5 billion SNAP contingency fund, rejecting arguments that it was only intended for hurricanes and other unforeseen emergencies. But it is not enough to cover the full November benefits, and McConnell said partial payments would only be lawful if they could be provided expeditiously. States and the Trump administration have acknowledged the recalculations would likely spark weeks-long delays. So on Thursday, McConnell ruled the administration needed to move roughly $4 billion from child nutrition programs to fund the remaining gap for the November payments, sparking the administration's last-minute appeal ahead of Friday's deadline. If allowed to stand, this decision will metastasize and so further shut down chaos, Solicitor General D. John Sauer wrote of the lower ruling. A three-judge panel on the First Circuit declined to immediately intervene earlier Friday evening. By the time the administration reached the Supreme Court, the USDA had already sent a letter to regional SNAP directors indicating it was working to comply and process the payments. Updated at 9:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, guys. So I just feel like I'm still confused as to why. First of all, why y'all saying different things? That's what's crazy, right? Trump's like, I'm not giving out anything. Caroline's like, yeah, we're going to give out something. USDA is like, hey, we're going to send out some payments. We're going to went ahead and sent a letter out saying they're going to administer all of the payments and things. Then it's like, oh, we're going to give a partial payment. And it's like the administration, everybody is all over the place and nobody is properly communicating. And I am still confused as to what are these programs that you guys, where they're saying one of the programs that they need to pull money from. Apparently, Judge McConnell ruled the administration needed to move roughly $4 billion from child nutrition programs to fund the remaining gap for the November payments, right? So that's what they're saying. But he's also saying that they need to deplete the $5 billion SNAP contingency fund, rejecting pretty much what they were saying, like, oh, this contingency fund is only for unforeseen emergency. Well, girl, this is an unforeseen emergency. But she also was trying to say that it was about war. And I'm like, this is not about war. That's a war. They got their own contingency fund. And I just hate, and I'm so confused as to why is it such a struggle to give people their simple things that they were already approved for and owed to receive, but we didn't think without a blink of an eye to send $40 billion over to Argentina. Like, there is some confusion here. All right. But that's what's going on. And the reason I just wanted to talk about Ketanji Brown, who is over the First Circuit, and she made a decision to put a halt to it so that the appeals court can actually make a decision on this. I feel like they're trying to make her the enemy when the enemy is still going to be your administration. Okay. It's still going to be the administration and how we even got here, right? Because whether she ruled, whatever it was going to be with her ruling on it, if she would have granted it, then Trump now would still appeal it and send it right on to the Supreme Court. But they're saying it could take months for the Supreme Court to even make a decision on this. All right. It could take months for them to get a decision. So I'm just confusion just a little bit. Because I'm like, well, where the hell is the money at, child? Because I thought it was already there. All it needed to do was be allocated. So where's the money at? Why y'all need to pull from these other programs? I'm confused on how that works, right? So I would need to do research on that. But yeah, it's confusing. And if it gets all the way to the Supreme Court and it's gonna take a long time, people are gonna be going forever without it. And I'm just, does that make sense to y'all? Like, it's just confusing because I would think if there was no government shutdown, the money would still be coming in to these people. But because it got shut down, y'all are saying there's no money there and that you will have to pull from other places to give these people their money. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Something funky is going on, but I will leave you guys in the comments to discuss further. Let me see if there was anything else on this situation that I wanted to tap into. I think I do. I think I want to get back into some more news when it comes to this. So let's just hear these news reports and see if there's any additional information here.
At 10, nearly 42 million people in the U.S., including nearly 70,000 households right here in El Paso, will not receive SNAP benefits this week. Thanks for choosing KTSM 9 News at 10. I'm Christina Rada. As KTSM reported, a judge ordered the Trump administration to make the SNAP payments starting today. But the administration asked an appeals court to suspend any court orders requiring it to release SNAP benefits After the appeals court declined to intervene, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued a stay late Friday, pausing that ruling that would have forced the SNAP payments. The Supreme Court Justice said the stay will allow time for the appeals court to make a ruling. And meanwhile, New Mexico's lawmakers are heading back to Santa Fe on Monday as the governor has called another special session, this time to address SNAP benefits. It comes after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to fully fund benefits for November by today, which of course we know did not happen. The administration is asking for a halt on that order on Monday. The $30 million of state money allocated for emergency SNAP funding will run out, which was not handed out on Friday. Both the lieutenant governor and the Senate Republican leader, Bill Scherer, say it's not fair that state lawmakers have to fund SNAP while Congress squabbles over the shutdown.
It's not fair at all. And it's often said that when elephants rumble, it's the grass that suffers. Well, in the state of New Mexico, we're going to do all that we can.
We do need to take care of the people of New Mexico. And fortunately for us, we have oil and gas industry, which is just pouring money into the state coffers at the moment, has been, so we can.
Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales is serving as acting governor, while Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is in Brazil for a climate conference.
Meantime, the lines at food distribution sites nationwide are growing, with tens of millions of Americans still waiting for this month's SNAP benefits, money they were supposed to have received a week ago. Overnight, the Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to pause those payments for now, igniting a fresh round of confusion for those in need.
We have it all covered for you this morning, starting with NBC's Yamiche Alcindor at the White House. Yamiche, good morning.
Good morning, Laura. Late Friday evening, the Supreme Court temporarily blocked a lower court ruling that had ordered the Trump administration to fully fund SNAP benefits. By Friday, this means the Trump administration can withhold about $4 billion in SNAP benefits for now. That ruling came after the Trump administration told states earlier on Friday that it would immediately begin funding SNAP benefits in full, while also appealing that lower court ruling directing it to do so. At this point, it's not clear when and how much money will actually be delivered to the nearly 42 million Americans who rely on SNAP benefits. Earlier this week, the Trump administration said it could make partial payments using a contingency fund. In court filings, the Trump administration has argued that it cannot draw from additional funds to fully fund SNAP because doing so would take away resources from other programs like school lunches. Laura?
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can...
Interesting.
Meantime, the lines at food distribution sites nationwide
this
are
is
growing.
the last one I'm
Tens
gonna get
of
into.
Millions of Americans still waiting for this month's SNAP benefits, money they were supposed to have received a week ago. Overnight, the Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to pause those payments for now, igniting a fresh round of confusion for those in need.
We have it all covered for you this morning, starting with NBC's Yamiche Alcindor at the White House. Yamiche, good morning.
Good morning, Laura.
Okay, so we pretty much just got into that. All right, two separate videos with the same information. Gotcha. So, child, this is just crazy. This is crazy. So it sounds like they're willing to give something, but not all. But now it looks like everything about paused. At one point when they were interested in giving something, they're not interested in giving it anymore because they are going to have to pull from school lunches, right? But I mean, I think with the partial, whatever you got, go ahead and start sending that out. But again, it's still, this is where I'm sorry, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm gonna have to go back. It's just the fact that where the fuck the money at? Why do you have to pull really from a contingency fund and somewhere else? I guess because the government is shut down, but the Democrats just posed something to you guys not too long ago, right? They just sat up here and posed the deal to you guys for y'all to open the government, reopen it when it comes to the ACA and things. So what is y'all decision on that? So that we could get this open, you ain't got to mess with no contingency funds, and then you could just send this money right on out, right? And basically, we won't go through the article. You guys can go through it. I think I wasted enough time on the previous article, but this article dropped over on NBC, and it dropped roughly about maybe 12 hours after that 6 a.m. one from The Hill. And they pretty much said that the Democrats did pose a deal to the Republicans for the ACA and asked them to extend it for 1 year. So now the ball is in the Republicans' court. It's up to them to make the decision and end all of this and say, yeah, you know, we'll move forward with that one and that 1 year. But I feel like the Democrats put the Republicans in a very tight situation, because when next year comes, what's going to happen is they're going to ask them for the same thing, extend it for yet another year. And the Republicans are going to be in the fit, because it's going to be a situation of, well, if we say no, then it's election time, right? So if we say no, then we could potentially be voted the hell out, or we could be extending this thing that we really don't damn want. Right. But we're also not proposing any other alternatives. Now, they could say, yes, we'll extend it for a year and try to come up with an alternative that's better to pitch to the people during election time. But I don't know if the people will ever forget the fact that they received their snaps extremely late, that you guys withheld the money, and y'all have just been acting the way that you have. A lot of people have lost jobs and stuff. So I don't know if the people are going to forget about that, but they could try to pose an alternative. And when they pose that alternative, then more than likely the Democrats are not going to be on board with it. And the reason I think they don't want to do the filibuster is because if they end up doing this filibuster, not only is it going to work in their favor now, but when something else happens down the line, it could potentially work in the favor of the Democrats. So I think that they are also in a tight spot and their backs are against the wall and they just don't know what the hell they're going to do. Right. But that's that. Another thing I want us to get on to is I want us to, because I feel like we spent a whole lot of time on Snapchat. All right. We spent a lot of time on Snap. And the next thing I want us to talk about is Trump in Nigeria. All right. Because it appears that, he's over here saying that he ready to pretty much go to war with Nigeria over the slaughtering of Christians. And keep in mind, Christians are not the only ones being slaughtered. Now, I am not in support of anybody being slaughtered. Let's be very clear about that part. But he's speaking out now because of the Christians, when honestly I just feel like he's ready to get some action started, in my personal. But let's check out what he had to say.
If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. We're going to do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about, and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns are blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible, horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians.
I'm so tired of religious wars. I swear. But that is what he had to say. And when I saw this, I was like, why is you trying to go to war so bad? I feel like doing this tariff war could start something that's not working. Trying to get civil unrest here in America could potentially start a war, and the people aren't giving you what you're looking for. So now we're over here dipping our toe in the pond of Nigeria, being concerned and worried about them folks and ready to off people because of the killing. I don't know. I'm kind of on reserve about that. Because how would you like it if another country didn't like how you were treating or having ICE treat these individuals that are, y'all say, are immigrants, right? And they decided to step in on our land to bring a halt to it. America would not like that SHI at all. So why are we going over there trying to be saviors when we need to save the land that we own? I'm just a little confused. So then I came across this post and it just kind of made me wonder, is this why you're trying to do this? Be clear.
During the war, you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. So you say during.
Somebody said, oh, that's good. Not sure if that was him or not. So are you trying to take us to war because you want to remain in office? Because anybody that's trying to redo, in my perspective, the East Wing of the White House, that's a person that's not trying to move. You don't put naming on the walls for the Oval Office. You done added some decor out there and stuff. It's just giving this show house, okay? Girl, it's not giving White House, it's giving Trump house, and he has no intentions on leaving. At least that's what it appears to me. And also, when there is a war, from my understanding, there can be an election. But if there is martial law, there can be an election, but it could be very difficult to have an election. From what I read, there could be challenges. You could try to have one, but of course, it can be challenged. And because he got the Supreme Court and everything in his pocket, then it's probably going to go in his favor. But I just refuse to believe that a lot of the Republicans, even those that sit on the Supreme Court, would continue to want to be under his reign for 4 more years or whatever. I don't know. It's not making sense, but that's just my perspective of it. All right. Not fact. Again, my perspective, my opinion of what I think is going on. Because why is we over here trying to start different wars? You over here pissing off these different countries, waiting for somebody to bite so you could just go full steam ahead. I'm leave your thoughts on it, because I am confusion. As we speak on that, there is a senator by the name of Tommy Tuberville who pretty much backs whatever Trump is trying to do. All right. Tuberville, matter of fact, do I have a photo of Tuberville up here for us to tap into real quick? Yes, I do. This is Tommy Tuberville right? He is a Republican senator out of Alabama. And he is in full support of Trump wanting to go over there and, tear some stuff down, right? I want to get into, let's see, some things that he may have said. So give me 1 second, all right? All right, so he says 62,000 Christians killed in Nigeria, 100,000 killed in Africa, 18,000 churches burned. Now, there's a lot of evidence there, and that's probably an underestimate. He says, but we cannot allow this to happen to people that can't defend themselves. This is weird to me when you say that, when about Christians, when you have people over here that y'all deem as illegal immigrants, and some of them are and some of them are not. Even U.S. Citizens have been arrested and everything, and they can't defend themselves, but y'all want to go all the way overseas to help out with something instead of doing it here. Like, that's not making sense. He also added that it's just obviously insane. If we need to get involved in something like this, then Trump could end that in a heartbeat. This one wouldn't be like going to Russia or China or North Korea or Iran. This would be going and helping innocent people that would be able to take back their country. It's a shame something like this happened, but we can't overlook it. We can't underestimate it. Is you cool? Is you cool? So they're saying the Nigerian president has disputed Trump's designation of the West African country as a CPC, saying in a social media statement on Saturday that religious freedom and tolerance have been a core tenet of our collective identity and shall always remain. So Nigeria opposes a religious persecution and does not encourage it. Nigeria is a country with constitutional guarantees to protect citizens of all faiths. Okay, and now how I'm reading it, to me, it's kind of like we don't need your help, but IDK. All right, that's what it looks like. But Tommy Tuberville, you got outed the other day. And we're going to get into that for a little piece, because Tommy Tuberville, not only is he a senator in Alabama, but he's also running for governor in Alabama. And I want you guys to hear what one of these veterans had to say, because he posed something to, I believe, the courts or whatnot, to where he is trying to kind of roll back some of the benefits for the veterans. Right. And maybe make it more difficult for them to be able to approve for these benefits. So let us go ahead and check out what this person had to say.
Fuck you, Tommy Tuberville. While we're out here busting our ass to keep our families above water, trying to pay for our kids' broken arms and scrape gas money together, this crooked piece of shit in the Senate quietly tried to kick 6.9 million veterans in the fucking teeth. On October 29th, while nobody was paying attention, Tommy fucking Tuberville, yes, the same clown who held up military promotions like it was his personal hostage hobby, held a hearing to start gutting VA disability. And his star witness, Daniel Gade, a decorated vet, double amputee, who got up there and basically said veterans don't deserve benefits because benefits rob them of purpose. Motherfucker said PTSD is curable and disability pay turns veterans into lazy shit. You have got to be fucking kidding me. Apparently, hypertension, tinnitus, sleep apnea, not real injuries, PTSD, just fucking meditate harder, I fucking guess. Meanwhile, these assholes are already slashing mental health care to 8 to 24 sessions max, and then this dude wants to make mandatory treatment a requirement to keep your benefits. I need you to fucking hear that again. They want to require treatment that you can't even fucking get. And then your disability, when you fail to comply, goes away. This isn't reform. That's an ambush. It's a trap designed to shove veterans off benefits and then blame us for it. Gates said the system traps veterans in idleness. I'd still be serving this fucking country if it didn't break my body, my brain, and send me home like a busted fucking lawnmower. I didn't lose my purpose. I lost my cartilage, my hearing, my sleep, half my goddamn peace of mind. Veterans didn't ask to be injured. We didn't ask for nightmares or chronic pain or ringing ears or the fucking moral injury that hits you at 2 a.m. in the morning and won't let you fucking breathe. We earned those benefits in sweat and blood and nights we can't explain to anyone who never put on a fucking uniform. And now the GOP wants to Brack-style commission the VA, like shutting down bases, but with your disability checks. A fast-track pipeline to slash ratings and call it reform. They will cut tinnitus. They will cut hypertension. They will cut mental health. And then they will pat themselves on the back for fixing fraud when only 3.7% of fraud cases involve fucking veterans. The rest are shady companies who are screwing veterans. This isn't about fraud. This is about cost cutting on the backs of the people who paid the cost already. If you're a fucking veteran, a spouse, a caregiver, a human fucking being with a pulse, call Senator Tommy Tuberville until their staff rolls their eyes every time a vet calls. Fuck you, Tom.
All right, so y'all just heard what this man had to say. Um, I have to kind of agree for the most part. I just don't think that a lot of the veterans that, especially the ones that have been to war, get on folks they coin because y'all do a number on them mentally, in my personal. And I don't think that it should take a whole lot for them to be able to receive what they're supposed to receive after putting their lives on the line to defend people they don't even damn know, to defend this country. Okay, they don't even know if what they going on to do is legal or not. They just know that they being ordered to do it and they got a job they got to do. So I just feel like don't make it more difficult for them than what it already has been, right? Because sometimes mentally they can't work after enduring whatever they endure in the military and then overseas and potentially even in war. And then you want them to come back and to function, right? And some of them can do it, but not all of them can, right? I know I have a relative that was in the military in the Marines that also went over to the war, right? Thank God they made it back. All was well, but they still have some of these complications that this person is talking about, ringing of the ears. I lost my cartilage, right? So that's actual factual. And going to one of the VA hospitals in Georgia, it was a fucking mess. It was a madhouse. Like it was very weird. It looked like, I don't know if you've ever seen, hate to say it, I can't even think of one at this time. It had to be like a hood movie. And when you watch the movie, it's like people all over the place. Maybe somebody got a gunshot wound there and they got this going over there. Somebody got something on their eye. Like it was like the emergency room to like the 10th power, flooded with people all over the place. Like it was just like, what is this? Okay, it was just really, really weird. And the loopholes and different things you had to go through. Go over here and see this person. Oh, no, you're in the wrong place. Like, it was just too much. They already go through a lot just to get the little bit that they do got. And I can imagine how many veterans, because y'all barely want to get them stuff anyway, are homeless. All right. So I can't. It's a lot going on. And I hate that people that never sit in the position of people that are have-nots. I hate that the haves are the ones that make a lot of decisions for the have-nots, knowing they likely never lived that life, or even if they did once upon a time, they're so far removed that they can't even fucking relate. Like, it's disgusting. But leave your thoughts and comments on that. All right. Before we move on, y'all know that we had this election not too long ago. And with this election, a lot of Democrats pulled it out. They did a great job. They won. They've been getting a lot of praises from their party. Well, Steve Bannon, according to, I found a video over on Don Lemon's page. Steve Bannon is heated. He got some things he got to say, and I want us to listen to it. I'm going to turn the volume up because I do feel like it's a little low. So let's get into it.
And I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting, and I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
For
They're
what?
not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify, done by executive order, right? We have to.
So when he says they have to codify, what he's talking about is pretty much arranging laws, rules, things that exist currently, right? So they're needing to change the system to be more so in alignment with what their goal is or what they're trying to do. Okay, so basically we need to organize, We need to rearrange some stuff. We need to get it. We need to do what we need to do. And it sounds like to me, just hearing him say this to me, and this is just my opinion, not a fact, it just comes off like, damn, like, are you literally talking about committing more crimes or something? Like going against the laws already? Because y'all need to codify some things, get in there, manipulate some stuff, rearrange it. It's crazy.
Codify it. And people say, well, they're just going to be messing bills. We got to put aside these structural barriers and get on with it. President Trump today gave to the Senate when they came over for breakfast. Even Lindsey Graham, some of the guys that liked, and some of these institutions, I understand. This is a very tough decision to make. And you're going to see some people in the conservative movement that not in a million years, because I talked to him today, quite frankly, I had Hawley on the show this morning. Josh Hawley, and he's talking about it, and I'm trying to play the institution. Well, they called me up this afternoon and said, let's go through the 10 reasons we need to do it, and these are heavy hitters on what I would call the constitutional, the limited government constitutionalist in our movement. And they're about to come out over the next couple of days and make this argument because it said, look, we have to understand that if we don't take this to the maximum, a maximalist strategy now with a sense of urgency, and in doing this, seize the institutions. If we don't do that now, we're going to lose this chance forever because you're never going to have another Trump, right? You're just not going to have it. And I will tell you right
That's
now,
crazy.
as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms.
That's crazy. This man said, this man said we will need to seize the institutions. When I hear seize the institutions, I hear take control of the Constitution in a sense. Like basically dismantle it is what I'm hearing in order for us to remain in charge, have some control, and for things to go the way that we want it to go. We don't have to see some of these organizations out here, some of the systems that's in place, these structural barriers, which is obviously the most structure you got is the Constitution. So when I hear seize the institutions, I hear seize the Constitution and dismantle it and make it what the hell we want it to be. Whew, girl, life is crazy out here, but the people is afraid and they feel like they will go to prison because the Democrats aren't going to stop. But at the same time, if y'all was operating within law and within what's right, would you need to go to prison? Am I tripping? Let me know your thoughts about that. All right. The next thing I want us to move on to is Charlemagne, because Charlemagne did leave a comment out there for the Democrats as it pertains to this shutdown. And of course, Roland Martin, amongst other people, did come out and have some things to say. And I want us to first get into what it is Charlemagne had to say. So let's check this out. All right.
Democrats, you fought. It seemed like you lost the fight. At this point, go on, give it up. At least give the people some relief by getting the government back open. Let these people get these SNAP benefits. Let these government workers get their checks. We don't need all of this craziness at the TSA during the holidays. I think you lost.
We'll continue to watch.
I feel like they lost. It's over.
It's crazy. It depends on what you're fighting for.
Seems like a pride thing now. Just Democrats.
So that's what you guys heard him say. Let me know if you agree or disagree, if you feel like they lost or whatever the case is, due to the SNAP benefits being withheld, and because of the flights and things that's taking place. But now I want us to check out a little bit of what Roland Martin had to say about the matter at hand.
If you're Democrats, do me a favor. Do not listen to people like Charlemagne the God. Okay? So Charlemagne was talking about this government shutdown, and he made a comment as relate to what Democrats should be doing. Y'all have that? Okay, play it.
You know what I don't understand, Mimi, and I don't know, maybe you can explain it to me. The health care is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. So if it's going up anyway, what's the point of Democrats taking the stand to keep the government still closed?
At this point, you're right.
But why are they keeping them closed if they run everything? They in charge of everything. They just not getting the votes, and they also don't appear to be trying to hear the Democrats out. So I am a piece of confusion, but let me step back and let more professionals, okay, more vets in this political game talk about it.
because the premiums, which the open enrollment started this weekend, November 1st, and so people are getting those letters in the mail. In fact, one person in Utah, a woman in Utah, she told ABC News that she opened her bill and saw that her monthly premium had already jumped from about $400 a month, Charlamagne, to over $2,000 a month. And so at this point, it's like, what's going to happen? Is it retroactive? Like, how is this going to work as we continue to go forward? So you're absolutely right.
And the premiums are set for a year. So at this point, if the premiums have already gone up, if they set for a year, at least give the people some relief and get the government back open.
Do not listen to what the hell he just said. That, to me, is beyond idiotic because this battle that we're seeing is not solely about health care. Rebecca, I don't know what the hell that was. That was just bullshit.
Look, what I heard was an exchange of two people who don't understand how this works. So what they're talking about are the health insurance premiums that are in the marketplace. The marketplaces are the state exchanges. The state exchanges is because of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. Here's the thing. Those premiums are effective January 1, 2026. You get about 60 days notice in most states. Some states put out their new expected premiums back in October, some kind of at the end of September. But this is giving notice of, hey, if you continue at the level of health insurance plan that you have, this is what you're going to start to pay effective January 1. And so the erroneous, I mean, this isn't just misinformation here. This starts to look like this is intentional disinformation. And for the audience, disinformation is where you have bad, misleading information that's intentionally targeted to a certain demographic. The demographic here is Black voters.
And that is, I'm going to pause her right here because we are continuing to talk about SNAP and healthcare and all of that. But this is the exact example that I was talking about when I felt like one of those blogs put up the photo of Ketanji Brown and her giving Trump what it is that he wanted, right? It's a lot of things that happens in their White House that I feel they don't post, but the moment that it was attached to a Black woman, they want to put the post out there, and now they got everybody on some rage bait type of energy in the comments, and it was, not cool in my personal, but yeah, let's keep going.
Why is the Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democrats are in lockstep saying that, no, we're not going to give you the votes that you need in order to end this government shutdown. You Republicans need to come to us and work out a deal. And so by trying to talk to Black folks, so then Black folks can then talk to Democratic members of the House and Democratic members of the Senate to get Democrats to back down. That's what Charlamagne is trying to do here. What should happen if I was advising the Democratic Party is tell them, hey, look, there are some Republicans who have introduced clean resolution plus extension of the health insurance credits, sorry, not health insurance credits, but some of the discounts that the government will pay. So people aren't paying those exorbitant health insurance prices starting January 1. So this is disinformation that we're seeing that Charlamagne is doing. This is not just mistaken information. This is intentional going after Black voters.
All right. So I'm going to wrap it up there for you guys to leave your thoughts and comments down below about everything that we just discussed today. Of course, I am Jamie. That's me. Don't forget to like up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Tell them I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters. I'm silent. Nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification. Them numbers hit like it's a praxis. Cash died at the ATM. And the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF. Got them trying to clone me like Aegis. Game time, I invaded gym. High elevated, I can face the rim. Putting shots up. I got laser focus, about to take it over. I'm Invader Zim. On a trip to Florida like it's A&M. Who that nigga, man? They say I'm him. Spit the truth, never wasted film. I can feel it.